Hello guys, welcome back to Boots and Bounty Homestead. Today we're doing something special. I want to do an unboxing and review for a product that we're going to use in this recipe. So we've got Oscar's Bakery, and they have sent us a sourdough starter jar kit. This is a 40-ounce jar. It includes how to make your very own sourdough starter instructions, along with chalkboard stickers. Let me show you what the jar looks like real quick. It's really pretty, clear, straight edge jar, and I will show you all the markings on it shortly. Also comes with a eraser pen kind of thing, a thermometer temperature control that goes on the jar. It comes with this rubber band that it's a fabric band that goes around the jar. I'll show you how to use that in just a moment. And it comes with two cloth covers. They look like little shower caps, and they go right over the top of your jar. How cute is that? So in order to read this jar, it has a last fed line on there, and you're going to use this fabric band to go around your jar. You're going to choose the day and the time according to this line and put it on the amount that your starter starts. So for this recipe, we're going to go ahead, and this is my sourdough starter straight out of the refrigerator. It's been in there a couple of weeks. So I pour off the hooch, and then I'm going to use all of it, but just a little bit down there in the bottom, because you can leave that little bit in there to feed. And we're going to add about a cup of water, about 3/4 cup of water, and then about a cup of flour, and get this mixed up very well. I do like to add my water first, and then usually mix up my sourdough starter with it, and then add the flour to it. I do that because it is more consistently throughout the recipe, and I'm showing you here the thickness of my starter that I like it to be at. I don't have any specific measurements or anything like that. I eyeball my starter. If you want to measure yours until you can eyeball it, then feel free to do that. So today I am choosing Tuesday at about 10 a.m. So I'm having to find the line there of which one it goes on, because I was counting by twos and I said there should be an extra little one in there. But I'm starting out at 400 milliliters, and I'm going to put my rubber band at the top of my starter and then fit it to Tuesday at 10 a.m. And that's how you're going to use this little fabric starter. Make sure it's all the way up to the top of your starter. Sorry, my camera didn't like being that close to me moving around so much. But that's how you use the band. And then you can eyeball how it's growing. And I loosely fit that top on there because I like the airflow. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on the thermometer on the side of the jar. Now, be warned, once you stick it on there, it does not come off easily. And yes, I put mine on just a hair crooked because I was doing it, tilted my head to the side. But you see, it's already picking up the temperature of 72 degrees. Let's see. So I wanted to show you guys real quick. It's been about 5 hours since I fed my starter. It was straight out of the refrigerator. And here she is. We are up to 700, so it's been about 75% rise. Double in size would be from 400 to 800. With this being straight out of the refrigerator, not quite sure it's going to make the double, but that's okay. It has been over on the stove with me doing a little extra cooking back there, and we are up to between the 78 and 82 mark. Now my my starter does like to be warmer, 78, 80, something like that. And I will let you see in here. I'm gonna let you look down all the bubbles that are in the top. So this is a great container. I did leave mine cracked. I don't like to seal mine off. So we are going to start making our wontons. Yes, we are going to make wonton wrappers. and I'm going to do my cabbage in a bowl recipe, but we are actually going to put them in these wonton wrappers. Now, these being homemade, you can actually make these pretty well any size that you want. Usually the standard size is about 4 inches, but these are going to be sourdough. The only thing that you have to take note of when you're making these is you do have to let it rest for an hour. So you need to make it about an hour ahead of time to allow it to rest, and then start the process of actually making it. So round about an hour and a half, 2 hours before you actually need it to be on the table. So we're going to start making the wonton wrapper dough now. So I'm going to do this in measuring cups, but I will also have it in grams down below in the description box as well. We're going to start off with half a cup of our sourdough starter, and I did fail to mention this was actually in the box after I took everything out, and I did find a spatula that comes with this sourdough kit starter, so we're fixing to use it. And remember, whenever you are getting your sourdough starter out, you need to make sure all of your utensils are strictly clean. If you go in and dip, if you want to keep it from having bacteria introduced into it, make sure you are pouring it out. As well as your hands. Make sure your hands are clean because you're going to be touching the inside of this possibly. Alright, so we're going to do a half a cup of sourdough starter. And with sourdough starter, you want to make sure that you add your water to it to dilute it and make it more dispersible in your recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and rake this down, and I'm going to cover this back up for later. So to our water, we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of water. So I've got 1 tablespoon and a half. We're going to stir this, and if it wasn't stuck to the bottom, it would be floating somewhat. So let's just stir this and get it a little bit thinned out, get the water mixed in, and then we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to get a cup of all-purpose flour. So that would be half and 1. Okay, so we're going to mix this all together. This is going to be a really thick dough because remember, we're making wonton wrappers. So if you need to adjust your hydration, do it very, very carefully. And then you might want to get your hands in here and get them dirty. And we're just going to massage it into the dough. Mix it in as well as you can. If it gets to where it is just too extremely hard to mix it, just go ahead and let it rest because it may not need all of this flour, and then you can just use the flour for rolling out your dough. Alright, let's go ahead and let that rest because it's not coming together very well. It's starting to get tough. I don't want to overwork it, but it's still absorbing the water. That's why we need to let it rest. Alright, so let's cover it. Let's just let that rest. Alright, so it's been an hour. Now this dough is not one that's going to rise or anything. It's just going to get a little bit softer. As you see, it's very pliable. If you're doing this with me, it's very pliable. Now what we're going to do is, if you have a KitchenAid pasta roller, that would be fantastic to use. I did have one. It has since had to go in the garbage because one of the bolts in it got broke and I couldn't find anybody to like weld it back together for me. And it was right past, like 1 month past the warranty. So anyways, we're going to have to get a new pasta roller. But that is the best thing to use. Okay, so don't mind this catastrophe. So I have our manual pasta roller. And this is a Gourmex pasta machine. And it can clamp onto the table, but I'm going to try to do this without clamping it. Usually with noodles and such, you want to clamp it because you're doing like long stuff. But since we're doing just little bitty puck size items, I'm going to try to do it without the clamp on here. So since I've already got this one flat, I'm going to start on about 4. It's got a dowel on the side. And this is the exact attachment that did go on my KitchenAid. It just had a, right here where the handle is. That's where it hooked into my KitchenAid. And somewhere in this mechanism is what broke. But I'm going to start on about 4 or 5. What is that? That's 5. And since this is already flat, we'll go ahead and start on 5. But whenever we start on our next one, then we're going to go ahead and start on 7 or 8. Whichever your biggest one is, that's where you're going to start. But we're just going to put this in here. And see what we can do with this. See how flat we can get it. You always like to go through it twice. You want to get it to where you can almost see through it. I'm going to do it down to 3. And that's starting to feel like wontons. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and start shaping it up to be square. If you want a square one, you can go ahead and start kind of folding the edges in to start giving you that square shape. And then I'll do it one more time. And you can always go back and just cut your squares down if you want them exactly square. Okay. Let's see what a 2 gives us. All right, so here are our wonton wrappers. And you can see it's just laying on my hand, going in between my fingers. Now, in order to keep these, you can actually keep these in the refrigerator, but you need to dust them with cornstarch. That's what's actually on the outside of your wonton wrappers is cornstarch. So we're going to do that, and we're going to make a stack. And I'm actually not going to use these tonight. I've kind of had a change in plans. We're not going to use these tonight, but we are going to use these probably tomorrow night. And I'm going to go ahead and finish up this, and then we'll see what they look like at the end. Okay, so we've got a light dusting of cornstarch here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to keep working on the other ones, and you can start stacking these up once you've got that cornstarch on there because it'll keep them separated. So that was actually a good size. So about a 1-inch ball. That did really good. About a 1-inch ball here. That does really good on this size. Alright, so let's turn it up. All the way up. Let's do another one. Okay, so I finished up all of the dough. Here's our wontons. You see they're very, very thin. I did this all the way down to a number 2 on my pasta machine. Now out of this dough, I got 2, 3, 13, and 14. Now I got 14 wrappers out of that ball of dough. And depending on your size, you may can get a few more, or you know, if you go smaller, or if you want to make these like my crab wontons that I did, my crab ragoons that I did, you can make them a hair smaller and you could get 16 or 18 out of it. You could make them a little bit bigger and do like bigger spring rolls with my it's called cracked slaw, I think is what it is in keto terms, but it's like cabbage roll in a bowl. You can do a little bit bigger for that, or you can actually, you know, make the little spring rolls this size. So however you want to use them, make them whatever size you want. But this is just I call it quick. It is a little not time consuming, but work consuming, I guess you could say. A little labor intensive on getting them all rolled out. But once you get them rolled out, you can put these in a bag and they will stay good at least for a week in the refrigerator. And you don't have to put anything in between them if you don't want to, or you can put some parchment paper between them. It's all up to you. But the cornstarch is going to keep them from sticking together. And just put them in a bag and use them like within a week. I have had them, if I kept them over a week, just to dry out. Sometimes people say put like a wet paper towel inside your bag to help them last longer. You could freeze these. Freezing them, I would put parchment paper in between them just in case. But you could freeze these. So not all is lost. You don't have to do this every single time that you want some wontons. You know, you can do this and then freeze part of them. Get out however many you want for the next time. And that sort of thing. Now you can deep fry these. You can put them in the air fryer. However you want to use them, whatever recipe you want to follow. There's so many out there. Go enjoy these, and I hope you make them. Let me know down below. And I do want to thank the sponsor for this video, for Oscar's Bakery. I'll put their link down below so you can go get the sourdough starter kit. It does have instructions in there on how to start your own starter from scratch if you want to do something like that. Or I do have my sourdough starter that you've seen us using here in this video. It is freeze dried and on our Etsy store. That link is also down below as well if you would like to. Or go ahead and order a sourdough starter, and as soon as it comes in, start it, and within 2 to 3 days, go ahead and be making all of these recipes instead of waiting for a new sourdough starter to start. So go check out that link below. And I thank again Oscar's Bakery for sending us the kit to review and try out. It was a winner in my book. Thank you very much. And we will see you next time, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.